Hey, it's Black History Month, and welcome to my channel, Comic Book Noise, where we talk about my comic book company, Digital Noise, where we explain the characters and the storylines of the Digital Noise universe. Today, I want to talk about, under the subject of comic book issues, I wanted to talk about something that is very dear to me under and for Black History Month is more comic book creators of color are needed within the comic book industry and or also comic book publishers. And this is a subject I wanted to talk about, and I kind of talk about just hints of the subject throughout my prior videos, but I'm kind of going to condense those hinted bleeps in those other videos into a consolidated issue here in this video. And I wanted to talk about having more Black creators and publishers within the comic book industry and why it's important that we have them. I know there's a big thing going on with the two major comic book companies, or the major comic book companies, is having more diversity, which is great within their comic book companies, which is DC and Marvel. And they're showing more representations, which I applaud that. It's really cool. I think that's great, but there's something else I wanted to talk about, is that all of the different characters that are of color or that are Black that are being created and putting more in the forefront and being written more in the forefront, those characters are owned and also created by non-Black people. I mean, I know it's going to say, oh, what does it matter? It shouldn't matter whether they're created by white or Black and things like that. But yes, it is very important, because in the bottom line of it, there's a financial gain from it, which shows generational wealth within those communities. And part of the wealth is that grows this wealth is the comic book industry as we know of. And as you can see, that Marvel and DC are the darlings of Hollywood now. And that's it. If you want to have a blockbuster movie, you better have a superhero comic book movie coming out that are of these mainstream popular characters. And the proof is in the pudding, as we see for the last, I guess, decade. And so this is something I think within the African American community or the Black community is something that we're missing out on is as far as wealth and growth is concerned, as well as representation, which is very important, is not having a piece of the pie in the comic book industry. Yes, there's a lot, with Marvel and DC, they have the funds for promotions and things like that. But now we have these mediums. We have Facebook, we have all of these social media outlets, these apps and things like that we could promote our characters. And we need more creators of characters instead of following a character that is created by non-Black people. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with Black comic book characters being created by non-Black people, but I think it's very important at the end of the day also is that Black creators and Black publishers should be supported as well to have part of that economic growth and have that piece of the pie as well. So why can we not have a comic book publisher or a comic book company just as popular as DC or as popular as Marvel? I mean, if you have great content, great stories, great characters, and I see a lot of that in coming from a lot of Black creators now. And I think it's a great thing. And it's something that needs to grow and needs to be taken serious. Why can't there be a Black person that creates different diverse characters and all of them be popular just as Marvel or DC? Because as it stands now, all the popular Black characters or characters of color are created by non-Black people. say for instance, you have Storm, you have Power Man Luke Cage, you have Vixen of DC, you have Black Panther, of course, was created. They're all basically all created by non-black people. Another one added is that was just a series, Black Lightning, and Naomi, that's out now, that's of an African American girl. They're all created by white or non-black creators, which is nothing wrong with that. To show true diversity, you could also show diversity behind the scenes as well as you do within the comic book content. So I think that, because I think when a character is created by a creator, and especially within the mainstream companies, Marvel or DC, and that character becomes a film content or anything outside of a comic book, as far as video games or novels or things like that, I think the creator gets a percentage of those sales or residuals of those sales. And so that's what brings it more important to have comic book creators that are African American behind the scenes, and having them create characters so they can develop and they can gain from it financially as well. Because as it stands now, any content that's created into a film or developed into a not comic series, but a video game or anything like that, as it stands now, if it's a black character, it will still financially reward the non-black creator. And so I think there's only one character that I studied upon that I found out and did research is created by a black person, is Blue Marvel. And I forget the name of the person, the young man or the man that created that character. But I think he's the only one that I know of that is created solely by a black creator, and that's Blue Marvel. But the rest are basically created by non-black creators. And again, I need to reinstate, I do not find anything wrong with a non-black person creating creating black characters. But I'm saying that mostly all of the black characters are created by and are their characters promoted and pushed to the forefront are created by white creators. Because at the end of the day, it's about generational wealth. And what's happening is yes, you're creating content and building a black audience, but the generational wealth is still staying within the non-black community. And I think the black community could stand to be a part of that wealth. And how you can fix that is to promote the characters that are created by African American people within the mainstream comic books. But also, too, the audience needs to support the black creator or publisher. And then, we can have our own content. We can have our own generational wealth. We can have our own characters that represents us solely and purely by black creators. And if we have the support of that, I think that will be the true expression of diversity as well, having a share of the comic book industry. So this is something that I wanted to point out, and it's just a little something for Black History Month I wanted to target on. But anyway, just think about it. But anyhow, thank you again, and it's Black History Month. I hope it goes well for you, and you guys need to stay safe and take care.